Today's video is about disproportionate anger in victims of narcissistic abuse. I read an article recently about something called gunny sacking. Turns out that is the term for having a disproportionate reaction to someone due to having held in anger for so long. I've experienced this many times, and I believe it's a common abuse tactic of narcissists to make people feel this way. They push your buttons, and somehow they let you know that you aren't allowed to confront them on their bad behavior or even be upset about it. Eventually they say something that is far from the worst thing they've ever said, yet you just completely lose your temper. They enjoy this because it proves to them how irrational, crazy, etc. you are. It also leaves you wondering if the narcissist may just be right about you being so irrational or crazy. The best example I can give of gunny sacking in my life happened in 2016. At the time, I wanted to get no contact with my parents, but the timing just felt very wrong. So I maintained a relationship with very low contact because I trust my instincts. When my mother-in-law died that April, a few days later, I saw my parents' number come up on my caller ID. Turns out they just saw her obituary in the local paper, and they were furious I hadn't told them that she had died. They were concerned what my in-laws were going to think of them for not being at the funeral. Now, my parents knew I hadn't spoken to my in-laws since 2002. They also only spoke to my in-laws maybe 3 times in the 22 years my husband and I had been together at that point. I felt betrayed that my parents showed such loyalty to people they knew mistreated me. They couldn't understand why I felt the way that I did, and I was furious. That was the last time I ever spoke to my mother, and one of the last times I spoke to my father before they died. This was hardly the first time my parents showed they cared more for someone else than me. It also wasn't the worst thing they'd done. But years of stifling my anger just reached a boiling point in that conversation, and the anger just gushed out, even though it wasn't entirely proportionate to the situation. I believe there's another variation on gunny sacking too. When you have a relationship with a narcissist, yet rather than blow up at the narcissist, you also blow up at your spouse, your friend, your sibling, whoever. This is a bonus for narcissists because it proves that they have control over you, and they also can cause you problems in other relationships. Unfortunately, I've done this one too. I would speak to my parents sometimes, then after the visit when I would see my husband, I would just snap at him when he had done nothing wrong. I was angry at my parents and unable to hold it in any longer by the time I saw him. And yes, I did apologize when this happened because it really was not fair to him. Now, gunny sacking may feel good at the moment because you're finally getting those emotions out, but that doesn't mean it's healthy. When you're overwhelmed with emotions, you can't think clearly. Negative emotions that overwhelm can trigger survival instincts to kick in, and that means rational thoughts pretty much put aside. Stress levels are raised, and that's certainly unhealthy for your body. Not to mention, attacking someone disproportionately can damage the relationship. No one wants to be treated badly, but in particular when they haven't even done anything wrong. In a relationship with a narcissist, as I mentioned earlier, they'll use gunny sacking to prove how awful you are to yourself and others. When it happens, they love to say things like, "She just started yelling at me out of the blue. I don't know what set him off. We were just talking and suddenly he was screaming." Now, to avoid gunny sacking, it's best to deal with your anger as soon as you can after it comes up. Since confronting narcissists really helps the situation, find other ways to process your anger. Write in a journal, talk to a friend, draw, pray. God can handle your anger and He will help you get through it. And lastly, never forget there is nothing at all wrong with feeling anger, especially when you're being abused. Everyone feels anger sometimes. Even Jesus got angry. It's perfectly normal. It's when others are hurt by your anger that it becomes a problem. Thank you for watching my video.